This is Philosophy versus Improv, where two sages try to teach each other a thing or two, and maybe you, the audience, get something out of it as well.
I'm Bill Arnett, an improv ace or king, but merely a deuce or a tray when it comes to philosophy.
Wow, this is Mark Linsenmeyer. I think that reducing even analogically my skill in philosophy to okay, fine, I'm a 3 of clubs. Fine,
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
We have a special guest here. Nessa, introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Nessa Voss, and I teach philosophy at Lone Star Community College, and I do philosophy of humor because I want to ruin everything.
Yes, philosophy of humor books you might read because you like reading humor books, but they're usually not like reading that Freud book on jokes of the unconscious. Not funny.
Those jokes, I don't get them. I still don't get them. I've published on them. I don't get them.
So you have to get me up to speed here. Are you saying that Sigmund Freud included jokes in his work? Like, here's a sample of something funny, and I'll break down why it's funny, like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe you just had to be there.
Maybe it had to be in German in that time period.
Yeah.
There'd be a specific kind of German.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
So if I remember sort of the high level, the main theories of humor in philosophy, there's like superiority.
Yeah.
We laugh at people because we think we're superior. It's the unexpected, or more precisely, like Bergson wrote about the mechanical. So when we see somebody moving, doing the robot, then like, well, that's not how humans move. So there's something unexpected about that. And then the third one was whatever Freud was going on about, that it's triggering something. Do I have that general framework right as you teach it, or?
There's a few more. There's the popular but apparently controversial incongruity theory, where there is that sense of unexpected, where like with a pun joke where you say, like, when is a door not a door? When it's ajar.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, well, you were asked a question and you expected, well, I just going to answer this question. Instead, you got this unexpected, what the heck was that? That's not what I expected. Or like a prank where my favorite, there's this, Japanese prank shows where a guy goes into a public bath, sits in the bath, and then like 30 naked dudes just come in and sit in the bath with him and then leave. And we laugh because, well, that was unexpected. And he's also not in on the joke, but it's unexpected and it surprises us because there's also a surprise theory. A more recent one is the cleverness theory of humor. So there's a couple. But no one agrees which one is the right one. So, of course.
Yeah, I think just to talk about that guy in the bathtub, I think there might be, I'm glad that's not me, kind of, that hey, it's happening to somebody else, someone else's tragedy, but I'm safe.
I wish it were me.
There we go. Hilarious.
Even the way I described those, like obviously unexpected, none of these are sufficient. You'd have to spell them out in much more detail because it's very easy to produce counterexamples. Here's an unexpected thing that's not funny at all. We see them all the time.
Yeah. And that's an updated incongruity theory is the benign violation theory of Pierre McGraw, where it's like, well, a tiger busting into the classroom is unexpected, but we're dead. It's going to kill us. That's not funny. But
well,
the Spanish Inquisition, I guess,
the slowest kid is dead. The slowest kid is dead. Let's be.
That is cruel and funny. That's that tendentious humor. Freud might have been right about that.
Okay. There is something in the improv world, and it's nothing is really, at no point where was it ever like the following things are funny, the following things are not funny. And here's there are some theories that kind of get towards a formula, but often there's very little towards that, and it's all just kind of visceral and by your gut, and we're not even going to try to explain it. The closest thing is this notion that you have some absurdity and some reality, and they conflict with each other. There's friction between absurdity and reality. And the easiest thing to see, if you know the distance between absurdity and reality, I didn't invent this, is that you can be more funny by increasing the distance between absurdity and reality. And of course, well, that means you can be more and more absurd. We can get Jim Carrey out here to jump around. Well, old Jim Carrey to clown it up and be more and more absurd. But you can also increase the distance by being more and more.
90-year-old Jim
Yes.
Carrey?
Yes.
Sorry.
Still funny.
Well, you can also increase that distance by making things more real, and by making things more. It has the impact by grounding is the word that comes up in improv a lot. But it's this idea that the Office did this a lot, especially the Office from the UK, where it's like it's not really that absurd, but the world is so painfully real and so people behave like people that these small little things suddenly contrast, and it's that contrast that, and again, it's the closest thing to the improv world of an underpinning of a theory. Yeah.
Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm does that pretty well too.
Oh yeah. Certainly.
Yeah, I forgot in my outline of the three, or the fourth one. I don't know where I got this list in my head, but the yes, that it's funny because it's true, which clearly is not, needs more to be said about it. That's closer to the Freudian thing, that there's something uncomfortable about it. It's getting at some deeper truth. It's in the way that art can be true. Humor is a subsection of that. It's true in a way that is, you have to react in some way, and so laughter is better than fleeing the room. But there's all this cringe humor and things that blurs that distinction.
And then there's the anti-joke, which is where you thwart the joke with reality, but somehow that makes it funny too. Humor is a disaster, a beautiful disaster.
Yeah, when's a door not a door? When you take it off the hinges and put some legs on it, and now it's a table. There we go. I just,
So in your investigations around this, had you peeked into the improv world at all?
When I was working on a paper about the Dennis Reynolds and the implication and how to use comedy to talk about feminist issues, because spoiler alert, feminism can be funny.
What?
And so I read a lot about how to construct a joke, and now I can't think. There's a couple books about just the practical guidelines of doing humor, like professionally. There's a famous guy who, what is his name? Who just kind of wrote a book on how to kind of formulate writing humor, telling jokes, and it's amazing how it's like, well, it's not funny to read about, but how it seems so organic, kind of like art. It seems just to arise organically, but then there's a logic to it, but not everyone can do it.
Yeah.
So that really surprised me, because mostly, it's doing philosophy. You never, like, people who do aesthetics don't necessarily always go to a pottery class or a painting class. And I felt like I was the philosopher who went to like a Second City like workshop and was like, what was, I'm not funny. Oh no. No, my mom said I was funny though.
See, now as you're
That's
saying,
funny,
as you're saying, I can't remember who the name of this person is who wrote this book. I'm racking my brain for what would be the funniest response of who you wouldn't expect to write that. Is it Theodore Geisel, the dead Dr. Seuss? Did he just write a book? Is it, I had just seen online yesterday a comedian, Curly G, that just advertised himself as the grandson of Curly Howard of the Three Stooges. Yuck, yuck, yuck. So that's his whole thing. You probably wouldn't expect that guy to be writing the book about joke construction. Though I don't know. I haven't investigated him.
I don't know.
But the poking of the eyes is not is a little more primal.
Somehow it's Kant.
It's the new unearthed Kant. What was that book? The Name of the Rose. Where it was theorized that Aristotle, who famously wrote about tragedy, actually had also written about comedy, but the Catholic Church did not want this to come out because they hate comedy and they would not want their golden boy Aristotle who they take as so central to so much of their teaching, to have actually written about this lighthearted subject. So there's like a whole conspiracy and murders and things
Yeah.
to
Great
cover up
movie.
that he wrote this. Yes. Okay.
And it
Sean
makes
Connery
sense
was in it.
So
yeah,
you remember,
Christian Slater was in the movie. But what's great about that is because the predominant early theory of humor was the superiority theory. So this idea that laughter is immoral in itself, because you can't be a good Christian, a good virtuous Christian, and laugh at the misfortune of others or the ignorance of others, because that's cruelty. So Jesus couldn't laugh. Therefore, how are you going to be like Jesus and laugh at people? So thank heavens for other, comedic theories. Now we can laugh and not be like, I'm a bad person, which, by the way, that's kind of why I got into this branch of humor. I didn't discover philosophy of humor until more recently, when I was like, I kept laughing at things and then feeling bad. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, like we do, well, I've got to dive into it. And then I was like, oh, philosophy of humor. This is what I want to do now.
and we don't know how Jesus delivered the things he's famous for. The loaves and the fishes. There's some kid. He's like, oh, you hungry? What's behind your ear? And he pulls
That's
out a
unexpected.
giant fish.
Yeah.
And they thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot in the last 10 years. It's quieted a little bit with the I don't know what to call it, the PC resurgence that and not that it was probably overdue in many regards, but the whole punching up, punching down, and that sparked a lot of conversations. And you can never. It's always good to punch up. You can never punch down. And then it also, it became a shield and a cudgel at times to explain why not only is this person not funny, they're mean. And I was like, well, slow down. It's like, look, I understand the theory, but let's not. Perhaps that shouldn't be our gospel either.
I mean,
yeah.
This is my research interest now. I didn't intend. I was researching this, and I didn't intend it to kind of go this way. But how political forces incorporate humor as a rhetorical tool, because I was really interested in Duterte, and I'm about to publish an article about Duterte's use of jokes as kind of a coercive rhetorical tool. The way that laughter can become so intimate and personal, like when a stand-up comedian, you want that rapport with the audience. And now I kind of wonder if the political use of humor is like, oh, everyone's using humor, but the government's like, that's our job. We're going to be the funny ones now, which is a very new thing.
Yes.
I'm fascinated and horrified. And part of the reason I also wanted to research humor is there's this idea that it's kind of the low art and it's not as valuable as the sublime or great paintings. And so I was like, no, this is what keeps people alive. And the idea that some Duterte is like, it's me, I get to tell the jokes, laugh or die. Like, oh, how dare you?
Yes.
So that's interesting to pick somebody. So I had forgotten that was the name of the guy who was the president of the Philippines and was very repressive. And I didn't know. I've never seen him speak, so I didn't know that he had obviously people talking a lot about, like, is Trump funny? He tries to be funny. He's been on like Saturday Night Live and was not funny, and comedians say he's not funny. But Bill Maher got together with him and said, oh, he was cracking jokes. He's a funny guy, and now it's yet another
let's
fog
not
of
put Bill Maher as the bellwether of.
Sorry, Bill. Other Bill.
That's fine. No worries. No worries.
You're just a Bill. You're only a Bill.
Yeah.
Living here
sitting on Capitol Hill. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Duterte really likes talking about how like raping women is funny, or walking around the YMCA naked with an erection, that men just love doing this and men are fascinated by his penis. And I'm like, it's bizarre.
Yeah. Again, maybe it's just the timing, raping. No. Okay.
I think people have to take it as a joke, because to take it as truth means they've made a horrible mistake with picking their president. So they have no choice, but he's got to be joking. Please tell me. Please tell me he's joking.
I call this is maybe I coined this or I'm stealing it unintentionally, the Cartman effect, where Cartman was supposed to be satire on America's id, like the worst of us, and we're supposed to
Mhm.
mock that in the superiority way, like we're not like Cartman. And something happened where it's like a large enough group of people were like, no, we do think that. And Cartman has given us the shield by
Yeah.
which to kind of this to creep in. Because I also published about incel memes as well, where the memes kind of give you this cover for
Yeah.
the, I don't know if I want to say the truth, uh,
Yes.
not even truthiness, where these
Yeah.
ideas creep in through humor until it's kind of, you get the brain worm, a different kind of brain worm.
Yeah. Well, I think often you get that, like, everyone's got feelings and thoughts, and sometimes we can't control what's coming through our mind, but to hear something echoed, it makes us feel good. Good feeling or bad feeling, hey, you're not alone. You're not the only one who's thought this way or felt this way. And I think that gets very addictive, not only for the joke consumer, look how unalone I am, look how many friends I have, but also for the joke teller, look at all the positive responses I get.
Yeah.
And you get this negative feedback loop between tellers I mean, maybe it's us intellectuals' fault for not going gaga over the things that we think are really funny, and making Christopher Guest a millionaire for his, maybe that's our, maybe we should have been acting in the same way that, the incel people, go crazy over and share things and amplify things. If
Well,
that
that's
makes sense.
probably
Yeah,
also the algorithm and the echo, yeah, the algorithm kind of reinforcing the echo chambers. Like
certainly.
it's problematic, but here we are.
Talking
So I'm
about
pretty
humor being, what you got, Mark?
no.
I
I
was
will.
gonna,
I think I'm pretty sure on this podcast we've talked about philosophy of irony as opposed to just humor, where there's just some disconnect. Where so you could come up with the Cartman character or whatever the character is that just says stuff, and usually it's stuff you're making fun of, but it also becomes this thing that whether you're the one operating the puppet, so to speak, or the one witnessing and deciding whether the puppet is funny, then you can sort of try out things. And this is not always to pernicious effect. This was Plato and Socrates, that he was using the character of Socrates to, like, well, these are not necessarily all the things that I'm believe, but I want to explore these. And so I feel like it's valuable even in investigating your darker side. And this is very different than Duterte saying, I think rape is hilarious. But like, if you have your puppet
he's
that
just
rape
asking
is
the questions.
hilarious,
Mark,
like, well, what is
he's
that?
just,
That
People
causes
say
you
it.
to at least interrogate, like, well, what do I on some level think that something really mean, not rape, but something less mean is funny in some way? And what does that say about, I don't know. It seems like it's an interesting tool, but again, in the hands of a I want to say a reliable artist or something like that, like
A
within the
skilled
hands of a
comedian.
safe space where we're just doing this, like on a podcast here, where we're just investigating things and we all have good intentions at heart. But I don't know how far does that go? Because I've heard a lot of things like, oh yeah, you're creating this character who like says racist stuff because you actually kind of want to say racist stuff, and you're doing that, as a way of making it okay for you to say racist stuff, which
I,
I think is what you were referring to.
yeah, and I mean it's kind of where maybe where the joke is happening, like the Tony Hinchcliffe when he was at the Trump rally in
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, floating pot, there's this floating pile of garbage. It's called Puerto Rico. That is not an innocent joke told by a comedian trying to construct something to get laughs at a comedy club. This is a political platform. The rules are different. Much like if, with political propaganda, like now you could get, shirts with like a Maoist design of your face and turn into a t-shirt. Well, okay, you bought it through free market corporations to make you this communist propaganda shirt. It's not going to do the same thing as if, Mao's government puts it out there in everyone's home. They're doing different things, similar format. So,
yeah.
and that's not funny.
I think there is something that, like, sitting around with your friends. You know, hey, we're doing a guys' weekend, and you know everybody's half drunk and whatnot, and you're going to say things that you would probably never say out loud or to your family or whatnot or at work. But there is that thing of like, well, I'm around friends, and they're not going to jump to conclusions. They may correct me, and they certainly do. And I think good friends do will ridicule you when when you step out of line. But it's all done in the spirit of we trust you, but we're all working. Nobody is perfect at all, and we're all going to get on ideas in our head and whatnot. And
I mean,
yeah,
and told, like, I'm thinking of the guys that sued Borat, that he got on
yes,
their van and they were like, slavery is good, LOL,
yeah,
and they're drunk and they're
Sacha
like,
Baron Cohen, yeah,
Sacha Baron Cohen, and they're, of course, he's new to their group, but they think, oh, you're like us, and he's because
yeah,
he's egging them into saying it. But there's a part of me that's like, well, you can't egg people. You couldn't egg me into saying certain things. I mean, I don't know what I drank if I'm going to say that.
yeah,
And so, but they're like, but we feel we've been violated because we were in this bubble where we thought we could say things, and it was just joking. But clearly, it was not just joking, and
yeah,
that's a very hard line to figure out, when is the joke not a joke. But what is it? I know it when I see it.
yeah,
That great defense.
So
yeah.
how do these two intellectual enterprises of investigating humor and policing humor, how are those related? Because I mean,
I
there's
have no
plenty to
answer to
police out in the
that.
world. There's plenty of things to object to, but when I'm doing the theory, like it's more interesting to me to find out like, well, why is something funny? And even if it is a terrible thing that I should not find funny, the most interesting thing about it is not like the moral judgment, which is usually pretty obvious. Like, yeah, don't be a dick, um, but is like, well, what is the psychological basis? Like, why do we find even like, scatological or just anything with taboos? Like, if
Yeah.
immoral things are taboo, so
And there
probably
are,
anything immoral is going to be in some way, in some conceivable way, realm funny,
yeah,
and telling a mean joke itself is immoral. We
Breaking
know
a
when it's
social
really crossed the
taboo,
line.
and
So like
yeah,
there's this whole like comedians trying like, can I tell a rape joke that's actually funny? Because
yeah.
I understand that rape jokes are not funny, but can I, despite that, come up with the one? And I feel like I've heard somebody
Lindy
attempt that
West
in a
did
way
a
that I,
really good how to
hmm.
tell a rape joke, I think is what the article was called. Because I think it was after Daniel Tosh was like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if five guys just came out and raped you right now? When she told him, you can't make a rape joke. And, I used to think that too. I used to think, oh, there are things that are off the table. I was like a comedic moralist. There are things that you
Hmm.
can't make fun of or joke about. And then I think in a Team America, they made a joke about getting raped by the cast of Cats, and I laughed. And I went, "Oh, they got me." And so there's a more moderate comedic kind of moralism and moralism where it's more moderate, where it's like if the joke is constructed well enough, it kind of slips through your moral censor. You laugh, and maybe you have that self judge going, "Oh, rape, that's not really nice," but you laugh. So the joke was successful. Even if your moral compass judged you as, hey, now, that
yeah,
was rape. I know it's the cast of Cats, which is absurd.
yes,
And I think
and
this is where I'm sympathetic
yeah,
to Freud. I think Freud is wrong about a lot of things, but his idea that humor, kind of, he's telling the why of humor, not the how. Like, why
Hmm.
do we joke about death and
yeah,
suffering so much and pain? And that's what makes it's like. And then Dennett has his the Hurley model of humor, the evolutionary model of humor, which controversial subject or controversial view, that's kind of like Freud, or a more updated Freud. Like, how do we explain why humor happens to us or through us as an evolved trait?
mhm,
But it's like just how we survive the horrors of existence, where
yeah.
like
Well, have
you
you heard
just
the
you can't you have to laugh.
theory about peekaboo? About why babies love peekaboo?
Oh no.
It's apparently right around the development of object permanence, and when mommy or daddy hide their face, the baby thinks you're gone. But no, you're there again. I thought I was alone. I thought something terrible had happened, and they think it's
I thought I
funny.
lived in Sparta. Oh
Yeah,
God.
exactly. But this whole thing of like, oh, if it would be terrible to be suddenly orphaned. That is a bad thing. That's a terrible fear we all might have, especially as a child. But it didn't happen. It did. Oh, that was a close
Yeah.
call, and we laugh at it. And this whole like, there is a tragedy for a baby that is tragic, and there is the baby laughing. And certainly a baby can't have any social programming. It's a baby. It's
Yeah, it's not there
8 months
yet.
old. It's not there
Let it
yet. So perhaps there is something. Babies do laugh, and babies do, that thing. And there is something going on that is very human.
Mhm.
And our philosophy is imperfect. Our humor is imperfect. Our philosophy of humor is also therefore perhaps imperfect, but a fantastic thing to explore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love the Hurley, the book, Reverse Engineering, was it Humor? Dennett and Hurley. It's excellent. Highly recommend that book.
Okay.
Those jokes are actually funny.
There's one of the most ridiculous Devo songs is called Peekaboo, or that Peekaboo, ha ha ha, Peeka. So they're doing their robot Devo thing. So you got
Mhm.
that Bergson thing going,
Yeah.
and you have this sort of reference. The rest of the lyrics are sort of kind of like a deconstruction of put your right hand in, put your right hand out. This things that are like staples of when you learn what singing is, and you get kids involved in using their bodies, and just sort of a weird. So it's a satire of that, but it's also pulling at this primal, like, yes, you were that child, you enjoyed this
And
stuff, isn't that weird?
and it's also I don't have kids myself. My friends have kids, and I've looked up, there are like forums where people share the weird jokes their kids tell, because kids are kind of learning how to use this cognitive ability to make things funny as they try to understand the world and see what grown-ups are doing. Like, where a kid will be like, knock knock, who's there? Stick. Stick who? I have a stick. And they think it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but it's like
I
an
mean,
anti-joke.
it is
All
a
kids'
yes,
jokes are
exactly. They get
anti-jokes.
anti-jokes before they get jokes, because anti-jokes are easier.
Yeah.
Just go meta.
Yeah.
Kids are meta. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been a nice improv free zone. I feel like for our back half here, we need to start a scene and let it go
Yeah.
as long as it wants to go.
Well, I think it might be fun to do, Mark, if you don't mind.
Yes.
And we can certainly have something go as long as we like. But there is the closest thing to a formula for being funny in improv, came from a theater in New York City, the Upright Citizens Brigade, UCB, and they wrote a handbook, and it's really, really thick. And there's something to it. I'm not saying it's nothing. I would approach some of their things differently, but I think that may be fun, Mark, to actually try it. And we've actually done it, believe it or not, in a roundabout sort of way, but to more formalize it. We're all about formality here on a philosophy podcast.
So by
Can we try-
formalize it, I'm going to just order this. I see it's $35. I'm just going to order it now. We're going to just sit here until. But Amazon delivers stuff really fast now. Probably
That's
just takes a
not. I
couple
can. I
hours.
can summarize
Oh,
it.
okay,
I can
okay.
Right
summarize.
behind you.
Yeah. OMG. But the idea is this: we're going to start. The three of us will start in a relatively normal place, without anyone attempting to be funny or attempting to be interesting, just trying to live truthfully in this imaginary circumstance, until someone hears something that they believe to be unusual. And it could be a turn of phrase, it could be how something was said, and I want them to call out and acknowledge that first unusual thing that comes up. Does that make sense? Now,
Okay.
it's going to be important for the other person to not run away from it and realize that they did say that, and maybe that is defining who they are, and that without even realizing it, and they got to work backwards a little bit. Does that make sense, Mark?
I will really try this. This is always a very.
If I don't notice
this
it,
is-
sorry.
Well,
It's-
that's it. I mean, it is what you notice, and you may notice things differently than I may notice, and there is no. I don't have the answer key. There is no formal thing.
Okay.
It's
Now,
not the noticing that's difficult for me. It's the not saying something
I know.
stupidly absurd and unusual right off the bat. That it's like when I play telephone and you're supposed to whisper and you're supposed to say, like, I'm usually the guy that would not even always on purpose say the thing that is totally disconnected with what I just heard and just ruin it for everybody. Oh, isn't it crazy that it ended up saying sharks are my friends when you started with 2 + 2 = 4? Like,
Yeah. And then they narrow down, well, who did you hear that from? Well, who did you hear that from? And then it all lands on you, and everyone's
and
like,
that was the funniest example I could think of just off the top of my head.
My
you
brain went
ruined
to
it.
monkey
It was-
banana shoe, which I'm like,
awesome. Can we try this, everybody?
Please,
well, Mark,
let's do it.
what would be a situation that you think you could stay? You know, is it like, should we talk about booking a guest for the podcast? You know what I'm saying? Or is it, what would be something you feel like you
I
could
think that is
keep
a
it
good
together on?
idea.
Okay.
That, you know, we're in this place where
Get real meta.
Nessa has now become our consultant,
Yeah,
and we just need to figure out,
love it.
you know,
Thanks for meeting with us, Nessa. We're excited to just try to drive some traffic to the pod here.
happy to help you guys out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I found you just sort of looking on Facebook and friends of friends and looking whose research looked interesting, and it seems like, you know, though we had a wonderful episode with you, it didn't exactly bring in the mass audiences. So how do we, you know, find that combination of intellectual rigor, but yet
Levity,
fame,
fun, yeah.
levity, fame, large social media following
Gotta have
that
that.
will actually talk to us, because that is the important caveat.
Oh, I mean, you already got the large following. I mean, do you know anyone that has said anything surprising or shocking or controversial? Some academic that's made a headline but isn't too famous, but just a little famous.
Well, you know, I'm sure we could Google search that and check the news. I'm sure there's some book or article out there that someone's written. Are you suggesting we reach out to them and try to get them as a guest? Is that your suggestion, or?
Oh, I mean, we could get them as a guest. Yeah, I mean, if somebody is kind of popping up on the algorithm, maybe because they said something unintentional or intentionally provocative, we can get in there and kind of pull.
I don't know if Mark and I are interested in just chasing bad people who said something terrible.
So I just searched. Well, I started academic that has said something controversial, which of course all academics, that's sort of their job, but to say something that at least people in their field. But anyway, I changed it to philosopher that says something controversial, and the first one is somebody who I think I should not name, because I really has written papers defending discrimination against women, and yeah, I don't think that's going to be the most fun episode.
I mean, I wouldn't mind speaking to this person.
That's a really good point.
Sure, but I mean, I don't think Mark and I want to chase controversy. You know, can we?
I guess I'm too focused on the algorithm and getting people through.
I mean, if Nessa, if you'll come back and we can put you in a ring with this person, I don't like to do the fighting myself, but being a witness to a fight, it seems like, you know, we can be the Bill, we can be the vicarious audience to just get these people in that have controversial views and let them just belt it up. Wouldn't that be, you know, especially if we're then hyping it up, we could be sort of like sports announcers.
That's a real change in direction, Mark. That's a very drastic change in tone.
Very Joe Rogan, so I don't know.
Does Joe Rogan do that? Just let people? I know he lets them monologue. I haven't listened to enough Joe Rogan to see if he gets people that hate each other to come on
to fight, to physically fight.
I mean, he would probably be into actual physical fights. That does seem Joe Rogan-esque. How do you do that over the internet? I mean, I know he.
That is.
Can we just use your living room, Nessa? Can we just do it at your house so we have?
Mark, I don't want people fighting on the podcast. I think this is thoughtful. This is thoughtful, and you know, and we're going to take these topics and discuss them and think about it, really break them down, and your expertise with knowing philosophy and my experience with improv and whatnot, I thought we could find some cool things in there. I'm not sure if you want to be refereeing boxing matches. Is it just
Well,
me? Am I the?
I thought, did you have on your, I thought I listed on your CV, Nessa, that you'd written a lot about uh blood sport. Am I wrong about that? No,
The
not
movie,
so
the
much of
Van
that.
Damme movie?
No, just in general.
In general.
I mean, philosophy, blood sport, it's
And
kind of the same
if
thing.
if you've been to one of our conferences, it is a blood sport. You would be surprised the amount of violence the philosophers of humor enact upon one another.
Yeah, I think I
Meta
would be. I don't.
Metaphorical. This is,
Well,
or
sometimes.
it does get. I know that there have been uh, political bodies where as mean as our Congress is to each other, that they, some they're like, oh, compared to in the 1850s or whatever. I don't know the history well enough, where people would give each other bloody noses with regularity. So was it just the times that, so if we actually got in the time of Descartes and people were giving these conferences, that probably they would be smacking each other, right? They'd be, you deny my theory of natural property rights. Well, that is a duelable offense.
Oh, I mean, it perhaps is one way of authentically doing philosophy, at least in a historical sense,
Well, I mean,
tipping our hat to our history.
if I beat you up, does that mean my philosophy is more true just because I beat you up? Is that what we're going for here? Like this person, what if? Okay, here we go. This person who thinks that you said, Mark, who said that, what was it about women? Some terrible that women should be second class
Should be
citizens.
discriminated against.
All right,
I don't
let's
know.
say we do. So we set up a fight between Nessa and this guy who thinks women should be discriminated against. All right, and we certainly feel that he is wrong. Okay, and this person shows up. All right, and they're 6'5", 250, and just all muscle, just a wall of a man. And no offense, Nessa, but I couldn't take that guy. All right, Mark, we are literally saying that we support that philosophy if this behemoth can pound poor Nessa. Are you ready to go down enter that door?
I guess not. I mean,
Okay, I guess
you'd
not.
be punching up, and so she'd have the moral superiority, right?
Well, I think that's a
Could
metaphor.
could I get like three lady philosophers in on this? Andy Kaufman stand in here?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Well, now was that fair? So it took three ladies to be one man. I guess we can discriminate against them. Now we're just making it worse.
Well,
You
trans
gotta
women
get
are
something.
women, so that was not an
Okay,
appropriate
so
thing
we
to
find
say.
Okay. Look, I don't want to go
In
down
this
this road.
context,
Let's
in
just
this
not go
context,
here.
it was not an appropriate thing.
Let's
to
not
say.
touch any of this. Let's not touch any of these
Okay.
things. Can we increase our viewership without resorting to courting scandal?
What do you
No.
think, Nessa?
Silence.
Is that actually
No.
possible? Is that?
I don't know if it's possible anymore. I hate to inform you both. The scandal is what's going to save us. It's what's going to bring people in.
Well, save us and bring people in are not the same thing. Let's just be clear with that.
This is why they pay Nessa the big bucks in the podcast consulting world, to give us the bad news that we don't want to hear. That
Mhm.
if you want,
I want you to do contradictory things. Why can't you just do these contradictory things? Save yourself and sell yourselves out. All at the same time.
can we use irony to do that? Can we do it within a
No.
scene, within an episode, that we have sold ourselves out and yet not sell ourselves out, but because we're presenting in a scene, maybe we kind of want to sell it.
Only if it's like rain on a wedding day.
I mean,
That's the irony of that.
I really do think that is ironic.
I mean, the irony of that song is none of the examples are ironic. That's the irony. I wrote a song called "Isn't It Ironic?" and it's just bummers.
Isn't it ironic when Plato writes the story of your wedding and has Socrates as a character there? that is quite a good use of irony.
I wonder if Socrates ever fought his wife. I hear she was quite formidable.
He wasn't a good husband. We know that. We know he was neglectful, But yeah, what was the tolerance for just abusive dick behavior?
I mean, maybe that's why he looked like a stingray. Maybe she really got in some good punches there.
Looks like a stingray. Was that?
Was that what he said? He looks like a stingray, a satyr.
We know he was ugly. I hadn't heard the stingray exactly.
A good one.
Was that in one
I
of the
think. Are we done with the
dialogue?
scene? I think we might be done with the
Okay.
scene.
All right, fine.
We can keep talking. But all right. So as far as this exercise goes, did anyone hear anything that they thought was absurd that they wanted to shine a light on?
Well, I thought you did.
I did for
Didn't
sure.
you did? Yes, you were pointing out the yes, because I couldn't help myself and I escalated it into physical violence, which of course was stupid. I would never say that in a real conversation. So I couldn't help myself. So
And I heard blood sport and went, oh, here we go.
Oh, here we are. Well, Nessa, you had said something about find whoever is in the news. And you probably may not believe that to be true. Like, ooh, it's all about selling out and getting eyeballs and getting clicks. But once I mention that and say, that's really what you think, it's the opportunity for you to say, yeah, it is. Yeah, sell out all the way. And does that make sense? And now you have a point of view, and now you're a person, and now we can play the thing out. But this whole idea of like, it can start quite innocently. We don't have to have a grand plan or like, ooh, yes, I know exactly how this Swiss watch of a funny scene will go. I'm just going to start living in this world, and someone might mention something, even if they just cough at the wrong time or clear their throat or something, that someone can leap on it and assign meaning that was never there.
And also that part of the psyche, that jaded part of me is like, ooh, we're going to get extra jaded right now. Like, you just kind of drill into
It's fun.
that.
It's fun. Yeah.
yes, I guess there was the low hanging fruit by the end when Nessa as her character as advisor was just flat out saying I'm advising contradictory things, and
Yes.
because that's
I
where
feel
we
this,
had.
I mean, I feel this way quite often in everyday life too. Here's back where people are like, do X and not X. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how?
All right,
Yeah.
so we were seeing irony in action in exactly the way I described it. That you were throwing this out there. That that actually is the kind of advice we want to give and often receive, though it's
Mm-hmm.
not laid out. Nobody says I want you to do contradictory things. It's just that they express I have this concern and I have this concern, and I'm as a human being trying to be sensitive to your needs, and I'm trying to react to all the things. Whether you're my boss or my spouse or my child, children are not known
Oh,
for consistency in their demands.
yeah, I saw a meme that was like things I've done wrong cooking for my child. There was a bunch of different pastas, and like one pasta is like pasta has sauce, pasta has no sauce, pasta is mixed with sauce, pasta has. It's like
Yeah.
it's all wrong, and they can hold that incongruity without seeing the humor. The kid's like, yeah, have it have sauce and not have sauce. What aren't you understanding, adult? Gosh.
Yeah.
I
I
have
went through
that
a thing with
dynamic. Go ahead.
my kids where one of them loved uh, spinach raviolis and would not eat spinach pierogies, yet the other one would love to eat spinach pierogies and not eat spinach raviolis. And of course, their aversion wasn't just, oh, well, I just kind of prefer one of it. It was physical. No, ugh, how can you possibly, if it was simply, I have a preference, or you said, well, it's all the accompaniments. It's the butter and grilled onions. Or, it's like, no, it is one is the spawn of the devil, and the other is ambrosia, and yet they're both flipped, and neither one of them
And is one
would eat each
Polish, one
other's thing.
Italian? I feel
No, that's the amazing thing. They're both exceptionally
Have you
Anglo.
done DNA tests on both of your children to make sure
Ugh.
that the pierogi lover is not?
My wife assures me they are our
okay.
children.
All right.
Yes, I was not there for the birth of either of them. In fact, I was out of town quite a bit the year preceding their birth, but she assures me that they are my children, our children.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to pursue this line any
I
further.
just went straight to Jerry Springer. It's like,
Yeah.
my
I
kid
think,
eats pierogies, the other kid eats raviolis.
or King of the
Oh,
Hill, my name is Earl. There are many comedic things where there's an
Yes.
ongoing like your child is obviously not ethnically related to you.
oh, Dale.
what are you not
Yeah.
understanding? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say King of the Hill, like, because I am in Texas, I'm from Texas. King of the Hill is just one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
And other people, to me, it's a beautiful, uh, it's like the most subtle satire on what it is to live in a particular part of the South. But other people who I know just don't like the show because they say it's too real. And
Yeah.
I say it's just tweaked up enough to where it's funny, but they're like, no, this is Texas. And it's
Yeah.
not funny because of that. So different perceptions of what how accurately presented is this culture in this show.
Yeah. I always
So
liked how they always shivered anytime anybody mentioned having to go to Austin. Uh,
And now I've become that person too.
oh wow. Oh my God. And you're an intellectual and you shiver about Austin. Wow.
I mean, isn't that where I don't know if it's still open where Joe Rogan opened his like free speech comedy club.
Okay.
I mean
mm,
that kind of and Austin now I sound like the old fogey. It ain't what it used to be. It
Yeah.
ain't what it used to be.
Kids these days. Yeah.
Kids these days in Austin with their fitness programs and their macro diets.
so it's funny, but it's true, but it's not funny if it's too true. It's funny if it's uncomfortable, but it's not funny if it's too uncomfortable. And these things go together. I mean, clearly, all these theories of humor, if I hadn't said this explicitly yet, are post hoc, like all aesthetic theories. Properly. It's not like the algorithm by which you come up with the joke. Because that will never work.
Well, it just did
And
earlier. It did a minute ago. I presented the funny
oh,
algorithm and we did a scene
okay,
about it. So
I guess you're right.
clearly we
I
have
guess you're
proof.
right. Okay, I'm wrong.
But I know what you mean. And we all like you can write me the 10 funniest jokes you can think of and I can find any number of horribly of people to tell them and not get a laugh out of them. That's not difficult.
Oh, and there was it Wiseman, Richard Wiseman, who went on the quest for the world's funniest joke. I mean, there were methodological issues like how you go around the world and get the
Yeah.
funniest jokes and vote on them from everyone. But the one I think he came up with, oh, I'm a terrible joke teller, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway, was that, you know, two men were hunting and one of the men shot the gun and accidentally, shot his friend. He calls 911 and he's like, 911, I'm out hunting with my friend and uh, I shot him. What do I do? And the 911 operator says, okay, sir, just first, see it, make sure he's dead, make sure if he's dead. And the operator hears another gunshot. He said, okay, made sure he's dead. Now what?
That's
I think
funny.
that was it. And if that wasn't it, my apologies to Wiseman. And
Well, it
also my
works.
telling of it, apologies to everyone who voted for that joke.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
like it.
I'm very much a believer in the style, not the content of the joke. That the one of the most fascinating movies, The Aristocrats. Have we talked about this? We've probably
Oh
talked
my
about this
gosh,
before,
yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
Of just taking a joke that is not funny in the abstract. It is, but that comedians will just that it becomes an improv exercise of
And
like,
Sure.
Saget
what
kills that joke.
ridiculous way can I tell this? And there were parts of that film, like when the guy's doing this like Minnie Mouse voice and telling the thing, like I just thought were so funny.
Yeah.
Even though this is, you're starting with absolute garbage for a basis
Yeah.
for
When
it.
I went to the artsy theater in town to see that movie, and on the ticket kiosk, it said, "We will not refund you your ticket for this movie," because so many people, I guess, went to see it and were like, they were just outraged at the content
Yeah.
of this of what people like Bob Saget were saying.
Yes.
That they were like, I want my money back. And they're like, nope, sorry. You should know this going in. This is what the joke is for, is this
Yes.
dumping ground of comedian id.
Yes.
And, and I was like, now I just want, now I really can't wait to see this movie. What is it going to be? No refunds.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's an
yeah.
interesting way of putting it because like is if it were the dumping ground of the id, then it actually the things you uncover that should be what's funny about it, that you actually come up as opposed to just the nuances of your timing and your voice and what details like adding details to things always is funny to me, like just really specific. I
But
obviously I'm
it's
not
so
going to
interesting
describe.
because like there's like the Mitch Hedberg where everything is so quick
Yeah,
and concise and simple. But on the other hand, if you can elaborate on the most disgusting thing, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. There is a definite huge chunk of personality of the teller and persona of the teller.
The
And
persona. Yeah.
and when I've met people that are just naturally hilarious or naturally even really good actors, there's something about them where you just believe them. And it's this idea that their tone, their emotion, everything about it feels so natural and intimate and the kind of emotion that we have when we're talking with a friend, and we're not laughing at a stranger. We're laughing at somebody we know, and we know them because of how they carry themselves when we're with them. And there's no sense of guardedness or no sense of just, I don't know, but we're all a little bit different with strangers and friends and intimate friends. And I think the really good comedians and joke tellers or whatnot are able to convince us that we are friends with them.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
the persona, like it's so important to the stand-up comedian skill in that
yeah.
it's weird because it creates that intimacy, but it's also an act they put on to
Yeah,
develop that intimacy. I think Noel
sorry.
Carroll, I mean, well, I guess all humans have this to some
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
extent, but Noel Carroll says like he calls it the Sarah Silverman effect, where uh, Sarah Silverman uh, she's got some rape jokes which make me go, oh, oh, but it works because her persona is she tells these jokes with her cute little voice, her little
Yes.
innocent way of being like, well, you know, getting raped by a doctor, it's a real weird feeling for a Jewish girl.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
but this nice, cute young lady just said this
Said that.
awful
Yeah.
thing. So, but you feel like you want to engage with her because she said it so politely and sweetly.
yeah. The Facebook algorithm has decided that I just want to see young, attractive women telling jokes mostly about sex or relationship. Taylor Tomlinson, I'm
Oh, I
getting
love
Okay.
Taylor Tomlinson.
constant clips of her. Like, why did I mean? I'm enjoying them, but like,
She's great.
why did it decide that is
Yeah.
Why
this
am
just a
I not
trend?
hearing jokes from men in like bikini thongs? What we're not doing that.
Seriously. Want some firefighters telling jokes. Get
Yeah,
me
yes,
get
please.
the
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just had an interview with some comedians, and they were saying, it's all about likability and this. So like, I just pulled up this sort of list that somebody came. Oh, IMDb came up with the list of the best comedians now. What and somebody like Aziz Ansari is on it, like which is entirely just on his likability. And so that
Oh,
when
it's like,
then he had that scandal that made
ooh,
him like, ooh, he's actually not so likable. Like that. Whereas right above him, the reason I looked this up is because I was trying to remember the name of Anthony Jeselnik, which is
oh,
a guy that tells those
he's got great.
Mitch Hedberg really short, and he's
Mhm.
like, "This joke's gonna kill," and then he like delivers, and it's like the most
yeah.
offensive things he can come up with. Like I don't
But
remember if he'd
totally
had
deadpan. Totally
if he was one of
deadpan.
these
He's
like, can
got
I
some
come
good
up with a
rape
good
jokes.
rape joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but I find him great. I
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a big fan of Bill Burr, uh, I've there's this, and I'm usually in more the alt-right world where it's like, well, white angry men can't be white angry comedians anymore, and we have to take this back. But I think Bill Burr is somehow so personable that he can tell pretty offensive things that are offensive to people who are progressive lefties and conservatives, but somehow bring them together. Like some of his comments about being fat women and being fat, I'm like, well, I don't like this at all. But then like a minute later, I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah. And
So
again, I think everybody has a dark angle or a dark side or has thought things or has maybe caught themselves and felt guilty about it. And I think sometimes the controversial comedians, even if they admit that they're not at their best when they're not being their best human when they say these things or think those things, it's in there, and we shouldn't be so ashamed of ourselves all the time, and perhaps that we should accept that we don't act on them, but we do have these things because we are just meat bags, and we can't control the thoughts that go in. And I think sometimes the
very
Bill Burrs,
insane.
yeah, do a good job, and he's just like, and he will freely admit that even with mid joke that he's going to be racist or say something insensitive.
Like, oh, here comes the asshole. Here it comes.
Yes, yeah,
Yes, the self-deprecation means you still probably, if you're a fan, that you still like him,
yeah,
even though, like, well, I don't in general like people who are this angry, and like
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
is not a relaxing thing to be around. But like, I'll make this
yeah,
exception. Um, and I wonder how this works, like this likability thing with somebody like Anthony Jeselnik or Emo Phillips, or somebody who whether they're deadpan or they just have a character that's
yeah.
like, you're not going to actually want to be friends with this character, but sort of your thing, Bobcat Goldthwait, right? You're sort of seeing the
Gilbert
character
Gottfried.
as a creation, as an ironic creation, that they're doing
Yeah.
their little Cartman. And so you're sort of projecting on them, oh, I think there is a likable person behind this mind, but and
Yeah.
and maybe you're even wrong, and you actually find out that, oh no, they're actually way worse than, but they've
Their
created
comedy.
this sort of neutral thing that you can project that, the likability into the creation after the fact.
Yeah.
And well, then there's comedians who almost their unlikability. What is it like? Andrew Dice Clay, where his
Yeah.
persona was like, I don't want you to like me.
Hmm.
I am a piece of shit. So that's where I'm
Yeah.
like, art, and you get, or like, is this your persona? Is this not your persona?
Yeah.
I I don't know.
There's a big thing in the improv world about breaking, and breaking is laughing mid-scene, breaking character and laughing mid-scene, and it's something that stand-ups will do often, and it's, I hate to say it, but it's usually very engineered, and they may
Oh,
catch themselves laughing in mid-joke and have to collect themselves, but they might do it in the same place every night. But part of that, but it feels so natural. It seems so personal. And I'm not accusing all of them of that. I am positive that there are very good stand-ups who really do feed off the vibe in the room, and every joke is different every night because every audience is different every night. Um, but this idea of breaking and what it does, and it does kind of cut the tension a little bit. And it does show that there is a human under here, and that they do feel that this is ridiculous, and that they may have a persona, but that there is a human underneath that persona. And in the theater world, you should never break character. Are you kidding?
yeah.
But that would be a terrible thing to do. But the audience does laugh at it. The audience enjoys it when someone breaks. Even if you're in a play and someone said a ridiculous line and broke, I'm sure the audience would die laughing.
Wait,
Now, does
we
it?
do
You
like to
didn't have
laugh
to.
together.
Yeah, now you didn't have to then rebuild the scene and rebuild the reality and whatnot. It were a stand up that's very easy to do in a theater play, and it might be more challenging. But but an interesting thing about
Huh.
breaking and how it works and doesn't work and is vilified by one community, but you can't ignore that. In fact, it gets a reaction. Yeah.
Do we
Now
know,
it's like
like,
gonna change how I watch stand up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
well, like, did you watch the Colbert Report enough such
Oh
that,
yeah.
did he ever break as that character? Clearly, he made the transition to a likable guy that you're liking for his own personality from
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
this character
Good.
that was so intentionally ironically created that there was just no daylight at all. Like, that he
Yeah,
just
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
was able to masterfully, that he masterfully created this ironic character that you could still, it was so overtly ironic. It was not like I'm playing with these ideas. It was, I am
Mhm.
satirizing these ideas. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was
and
just no
other
ambiguity.
comedians working with him would talk about how he was so good at not breaking that it was
Okay.
almost like the robotic thing where it's like Where are you? You're good at it. I always love them from the Dana Carvey show. The waiters who are nauseated by food. That will be my Colbert forever. That poor Dana Carvey show.
Yeah, there's a very fun documentary about that whole story. Yeah.
Well, and he had a very good Curb Your Enthusiasm appearance right before Larry David is going to appear on stage as the producer and in the producers and break and have to like tell jokes to the audience and then eventually get the show going back on. And Stephen Colbert was before saying, "You're going to fail. You're going to fail," doing this like very evil, guy that Larry David is just offended on the street character. Uh, All right, well, we should wrap up here. This has been a nice congenial
Yeah.
way that we started off theoretical, we got a little absurd, and then now we're just shooting the shit about comedians we like or don't like.
Oh man, we talked about the Colbert thing.
Yes,
But
right.
we're out of time.
Yes. Any final thoughts, Nessa? Sum up. What have we learned about philosophy of humor, or do you have any additional points that you wanted to make?
Humor is very important to our cognitive capabilities and our meaning of life, and don't let the government tell you it's in charge of making the jokes. It's our
Amen.
job.
Amen.
I agree. Not. Oh, I'm just see that.
There we go. It's good. It's good.
Triple reversing expectations.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Nessa, for coming
Yeah,
on.
fantastic,
great
Nessa.
fun.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Bill.
Indeed.
All
Indeed.
right. Bye, listeners.
Bye, everybody.
We like you, sort of.
I should sell my soul. Bankrupt. Bankrupt.